Income rarely rises by accident. It rises when value rises. And the most important truth most people never fully accept is this: your earnings will always reflect the value you have learned to create for others. Not your intentions, not your wishes, not your struggles. Value is the language the market listens to, and income is simply the echo of how well you have learned to speak it. Most people spend their lives negotiating for more pay without first negotiating with themselves to become more valuable. They argue for raises they haven't earned yet. They chase opportunities they are not yet prepared to handle. They want the reward without embracing the responsibility that creates it. But the marketplace is fair in one unforgiving way. It does not pay for need. It pays for usefulness. You can work harder than everyone around you and still stay stuck if the value you produce remains the same. Effort alone is not the master key. Growth is. The fastest way to change what you earn is to change what you can do. The fastest way to multiply results is to multiply skill. The moment your skill level rises, opportunity begins to recognize you differently. Most people wait for better conditions to increase their output. The wealthy increase their value regardless of conditions. They study when others scroll. They practice when others relax. They refine when others repeat. And over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. At first, no one notices, then opportunity notices quietly, then income changes suddenly. Income is not magic. It is math. When your ability to solve problems increases, your demand increases. When demand increases, your leverage increases. And when leverage increases, income follows. That progression has never changed across generations. Only the tools have changed, the law remains the same. The tragedy is not that people don't know this. The tragedy is that many deny it emotionally. They want to believe the system is broken before they accept their development may be incomplete. It is always easier to blame conditions than to sharpen competence, but responsibility is the door to power. The moment you accept that your value is your choice, your future becomes negotiable. Value is not always loud. It is often invisible while it is being built. The practice you do when no one is watching. The studying you do when no one is clapping. The discipline you keep when no one is checking. Those are the quiet deposits that later become loud withdrawals. The world only sees the reward stage. It ignores the preparation stage, but preparation always pays first, just not publicly. Many people want to be paid like professionals while thinking like amateurs. The professional does not ask, how little can I give and still get paid? They ask, how excellent can I become so I cannot be ignored? That question alone reshapes a career. That question alone turns average income into exceptional income. The marketplace does not reward potential. It rewards performance. Potential only promises what could happen. Performance proves what already has. And the wealthy understand this deeply. They do not introduce themselves by what they hope to become. They introduce themselves by what they can reliably deliver. Even luck favors the skilled. Opportunity visits many people, but it only stays with the prepared. When preparation meets opportunity, it looks like luck. When opportunity meets unpreparedness, it looks like pressure. The wealthy do not fear opportunity because they have trained for it. Most people fear opportunity because it exposes what they delayed becoming. Value also carries responsibility. The more valuable you become, the fewer excuses you are allowed to carry. Excellence is demanding. Competence requires maintenance. Skill decays without use. The wealthy do not stop developing because they start earning. They develop faster because they now understand the return on investment. One of the most dangerous beliefs in the world is thinking that income is capped by circumstance. It is not. Income is capped by skill, thinking, courage, and the willingness to grow when comfort whispers stay the same. Every major leap in income history was preceded by a leap in personal capacity. First you grow, then your earnings follow. People often ask, what's the fastest way to make more money? The honest answer is this: become harder to replace. The more replaceable you are, the more negotiable your income becomes. The more rare your ability, your thinking, and your execution, the more leverage you gain. Scarcity always commands value, and skill creates scarcity. You don't need to chase money when you become the kind of person money chases. Employers chase results, markets chase solutions, clients chase relief from problems. The wealthy position themselves where demand lives. They don't beg for pay, they earn demand. Most people ask, what can the world give me? The wealthy ask, what can I give the world that it cannot easily replace? That question rewires ambition. It shifts focus from consumption to contribution, and contribution is the birthplace of compensation. Value is also cumulative. You don't wake up valuable one morning by accident. You assemble value layer by layer, skill by skill, habit by habit, decision by decision. At first, progress feels slow. Then momentum takes over, and eventually income catches up in waves, not inches. The world does not pay you for your past. It pays you for your present usefulness. That is why the wealthy never rest on yesterday's achievements. Yesterday's skills solved yesterday's problem. Today demands more, and tomorrow will demand even more than that. The most empowering truth you can carry is this: no one controls how valuable you choose to become. Not your past, not your education, not your starting point. The beginning may be out of your control. The direction is not. The moment you decide to raise your value, your income future changes direction instantly, even if the money has not caught up yet. First comes the invisible shift, then comes the visible reward. You don't increase income by chasing money. You increase income by chasing mastery. And mastery, once earned, never leaves you broke again. Hard work alone has kept more people stuck than lazy thinking ever did. Many people work endlessly and still feel trapped, exhausted, and underpaid. Not because they lack effort, but because effort without skill is just motion without multiplication. The wealthy understand a simple truth that changes everything. Skill is what turns effort into leverage. Without skill, every gain costs too much. With skill, the same effort produces 10 times the result. Effort is common. Anyone can try hard. Anyone can stay busy. Anyone can burn themselves out, but skill is rare. And rarity always commands value. When you develop skill, you are no longer paid for how long you work. You are paid for how well you think, how precisely you execute, and how effectively you solve problems. And that change alone can transform a life. Most people live in a cycle of exhaustion. They push harder, extend their hours, sacrifice rest, and still fall short. They treat time as their only weapon. But time is the weakest form of leverage. You only have so many hours. When the hours are gone, the income stops. Skill breaks that ceiling. Skill allows 1 hour to produce what 10 hours once did. The wealthy are not impressed by busyness. They are impressed by effectiveness. They do not ask who worked the hardest. They ask who produced the best result, and result is always the child of skill, not struggle. Struggle only proves effort. Skill proves command. Without skill, you trade life for money. With skill, you build systems, influence, reach, and scale. With skill, you can step back, and income can still move forward. That is not luck. That is leverage. Leverage is the ability to produce impact beyond your immediate physical effort. And skill is the tool that builds it. Most people fear learning new skills because learning humbles the ego. it exposes incompetence. It reminds you that you don't yet know what you need to know. And that discomfort feels threatening. But the wealthy are not threatened by being beginners. They are threatened by staying average. They would rather look slow while learning than look busy while stalled. Skill upgrades your bargaining power in every area of life. Without skill, you negotiate with hope. With skill, you negotiate with proof. Proof is powerful. Proof cannot be argued with. Proof does not beg. Proof commands. The world does not reward effort in isolation. It rewards effectiveness. Two people can work the same hours. One struggles, one multiplies. The difference is not desire. The difference is skill. Skill turns chaos into clarity. It turns pressure into composure. It turns confusion into direction. It turns fear into confidence. And when confidence rises, performance follows. Most people try to build confidence by forcing belief. The wealthy build confidence by building competence, and competence compounds. Each new skill makes the next skill easier to learn. Each new layer of mastery sharpens the mind. Over time, learning speeds up. Adaptation becomes natural. Growth becomes expected. That is why the wealthy can change industries, evolve strategies, and scale faster than most people can even stabilize. Without skill, effort creates fatigue. With skill, effort creates momentum. One drains you, the other feeds you. One feels heavy, the other feels purposeful. One traps you, the other frees you. Most people ask for more money without becoming someone who can handle more responsibility. But money always follows responsibility. When your skill grows, your capacity for responsibility grows. And when responsibility grows, income follows quietly behind it. Skill also removes fear from opportunity. Opportunity is only frightening when you feel unprepared. When skill is present, opportunity feels like alignment, not threat. The wealthy do not fear big stages, big rooms, or big decisions because they built the muscle to operate there. Without skill, success feels fragile. One mistake can collapse the entire structure. With skill, failure becomes feedback instead of a verdict. You adjust, you refine, you adapt, you don't panic. That calm is not personality, it is preparation. Skill also makes you harder to replace, and replaceability is the silent killer of income. The easier you are to replace, the lower your leverage becomes. The harder you are to replace, the more control you gain over your time, your pay, and your direction. The wealthy do not fear automation, competition, or change. They fear stagnation because skill adapts. Skill evolves, skill travels, jobs disappear, markets shift, tools change, but skill recreates income again and again in new forms. One of the greatest lies people believe is that talent is fixed. It is not. Skill is built. It is trained. It is earned. It is shaped daily through repetition, humility, correction, and consistency. And every skill learned permanently raises your income ceiling, even if the increase is delayed. Delay confuses people. They quit too soon. They mistake the gap between effort and reward as proof it is not working. But skill often builds invisibly before it pays visibly. First the roots grow, then the tree rises. Those who quit early never understand how close they were to leverage. Skill also disciplines emotion. When you know what to do, panic fades. When you understand the process, fear loses its control. When you trust your ability, pressure sharpens you instead of breaking you. That internal stability is priceless, and it is always built through skill. The person with no skill begs for stability. The person with skill creates it. The person with no skill fears movement. The person with skill thrives in it. The person with no skill waits for permission. The person with skill becomes permission. Skill also multiplies impact. One skilled person can outperform 10 unskilled people working twice as hard. That is not arrogance. That is mathematics. You do not rise to the level of your effort. You rise to the level of your preparation. And preparation is the birthplace of skill. If your income feels stuck, your effort may not be the problem. Your leverage may be, and leverage is built with skill, not sacrifice. The moment you commit to skill, something changes internally before anything changes externally. You stop measuring progress by exhaustion. You start measuring it by precision. You stop chasing motion. You start commanding direction. Effort will always be required, but skill decides whether that effort builds a cage or builds a kingdom. And the wealthy chose long ago. They chose leverage. You can possess rare skill, deep knowledge, and strong discipline, and still remain underpaid, overlooked, and underestimated if you cannot communicate your value. Communication is not decoration. It is not personality. It is the multiplier that converts ability into income. The world does not reward what only you can see. It rewards what you can clearly express, demonstrate, and transfer. Many people believe their work should speak for itself. In an ideal world, maybe it would, but in the real one, silence hides value. If you cannot explain what you do, why it matters, and how it solves problems, the market cannot assign the right price to your ability. You don't get paid for what you intend. You get paid for what people understand. Communication is leverage because it scales your impact. One person, one skill, one voice can reach thousands, influence decisions, open doors, and shift outcomes. Without communication, your skill stays trapped in your hands. With communication, it travels. The wealthy understand that communication is not about sounding impressive. It is about being clear. Confusion kills income. Clarity creates trust, and trust moves money. People don't invest in perfection. They invest in certainty. They invest in people who can make complex things feel simple and risky things feel controlled. Most people think confidence comes first and communication follows. In reality, communication builds confidence. The more clearly you learn to express your ideas, the more stable your identity becomes. You stop hiding behind hesitation. You stop apologizing for your presence. You stop shrinking your ambition to fit other people's comfort. Poor communication causes capable people to accept small stages. Strong communication allows capable people to command large rooms. And income follows rooms, not corners. Communication also determines leadership. You cannot lead what you cannot align. You cannot align what you cannot articulate. People do not follow intentions, they follow direction. And direction is created with words. Every raise you ever earn, every deal you ever close, every opportunity you ever unlock will arrive through a conversation, a presentation, a negotiation, or a decision shaped by communication. Even silence is communication, but silence rarely negotiates well. The wealthy train their communication because they understand this simple truth. Your words set your ceiling. The way you explain value sets the limit on what the world is willing to pay you for it. If you describe your work like a commodity, the market will price you like one. If you explain your work like a solution, the market will treat you like leverage. Communication also multiplies relationships. And relationships multiply opportunity. You may be brilliant alone, but wealth is rarely built alone. It is built through alignment, collaboration, persuasion, trust, and influence. All of those live inside communication. Many people think networking is about collecting contacts. It is not. It is about transmitting clarity. When people clearly understand who you are, what you do, and how you create results, your name begins to travel where your body cannot. That is leverage. Weak communication keeps people stuck in transactions. Strong communication elevates them into partnerships. Communication also protects your value. When you cannot set boundaries with words, the world will set limits with circumstances. When you cannot express your worth, people will test how little they can give you. When you cannot negotiate clearly, you will accept what should have been discussed. Negotiation itself is not conflict. It is clarity. It is alignment of value and expectation, and only strong communicators negotiate without bitterness, fear, or apology. The wealthy do not raise their voice to raise their income. They raise their clarity. They learn to speak with calm authority. Not dominance, direction, not pressure, presence. Words backed by preparation always carry more weight than words amplified by emotion. Communication also determines how you handle failure. When you cannot communicate through pressure, pressure controls you. When you can, pressure sharpens your message instead of distorting it. You turn conflict into refinement. You turn resistance into feedback. You turn rejection into strategy. Those who cannot communicate under pressure collapse inward. Those who can expand outward. Communication is also how you transfer belief. You cannot inspire with uncertainty. You cannot persuade with confusion. You cannot lead with hesitation. The wealthy refine their message until it aligns with certainty, not perfection. They do not speak to sound smart. They speak to be understood, and being understood is far more profitable. Communication also multiplies speed. Clear instruction saves time. Clear vision saves years. Clear expectation prevents conflict that would otherwise destroy momentum. The marketplace rewards speed when it is paired with precision. Precision is born from disciplined language. Many people unknowingly sabotage their income with careless words. They diminish their own work. They introduce doubt where certainty should stand. They over-explain where confidence should rest. They add conditions where clarity should live. And those small verbal habits quietly cap their earnings. The wealthy choose their words the way engineers choose materials. Because words carry structure, they either support value or weaken it. Communication also reveals identity. The way you speak about challenges exposes how you see yourself inside them. Victim language shrinks income. Ownership language expands it. Scarcity language repels opportunity. Solution language attracts it. You cannot speak powerfully and think weakly at the same time. Eventually, one corrects the other. Train your language upward, and your thinking follows. Train your thinking upward, and your income responds. Communication also trains courage. Every time you speak when fear urges silence, you expand your capacity. Every time you articulate your value when doubt whispers retreat, you strengthen your internal authority. Over time, that authority becomes presence, and presence is magnetic. Communication does not create value, but it reveals it. And revealed value can be rewarded, hidden value cannot. You can spend 10 years becoming powerful in skill. If you spend 0 years becoming powerful in communication, the world will never fully see what you carry. And what the world never fully sees, it never fully pays for. This is why communication raises income instantly. The moment you learn to clearly express your value, negotiate your worth, align expectations, lead conversations, and direct outcomes, your financial ceiling lifts even before your skill changes. Skill builds the product. Communication moves the product. Income responds to movement. And here is the truth most people overlook. The greatest opportunities of your life will not arrive through your resume. They will arrive through conversations. The question is not whether you have value. The question is whether the right people can hear it clearly enough to reward it properly. And the moment you master that your income will no longer depend only on what you can do, it will depend on how powerfully you can communicate who you have become. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you earn, and it is never built in comfort. It is built through daily skill practice, repetition under pressure, and the willingness to look clumsy before you look capable. Most people want confidence first and effort second, but life only works in reverse. First comes the work, then comes the belief. You will never be consistently confident in something you do not practice. You may feel bold for a moment. You may feel inspired for a day, but real confidence is stable. It does not depend on mood. It does not rise and fall with applause. It is grounded in knowing that you can perform because you already have, many times, quietly, in private. Most people are not held back by lack of potential. They are held back by fragile confidence. And fragile confidence comes from fragile preparation. You cannot fake your way through pressure for long. Eventually, the moment will demand skills you either trained or avoided. And the wealthy understand that preparation is the cheapest form of confidence you will ever buy. Daily practice looks boring from the outside. It does not trend. It does not impress crowds. It does not feel dramatic, but it builds a foundation that pressure cannot shake. While others chase motivation, the wealthy chase mastery. Because mastery does not panic when emotions fluctuate. Mastery performs. Every repetition does more than improve performance. It builds identity. You stop saying, "I hope I can." You start saying, "I know I can." Not because you feel special, but because you earned proof. Proof calms the nervous system. Proof silences doubt. Proof stabilizes emotion. Most people avoid daily practice because it bruises the ego. Practicing exposes weakness. It reminds you of what you haven't mastered yet. It confronts you with inconsistency, and the ego would rather protect image than achieve growth. But the wealthy understand this. Your ego will either be bruised in private through practice, or shattered in public through unprepared performance. One builds you, the other humbles you. Confidence that comes from praise is unstable. Confidence that comes from preparation is unshakable. Praise disappears, preparation stays, applause fades, skill remains. The wealthy do not depend on validation. They depend on repetition. Daily practice also removes the fear of starting. Most hesitation is simply unfamiliarity wearing the mask of fear. When something becomes familiar through repetition, fear weakens. The unknown becomes known. The intimidating becomes routine. The difficult becomes standard. Practice turns chaos into clarity. Most people think boldness creates action. In reality, action creates boldness. The more you practice, the less the moment scares you. The less it scares you, the more willingly you step forward. And the more you step forward, the wider your opportunities become. Daily practice also trains discipline. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline shows up whether you feel like it or not. And discipline is the bridge between intention and identity. You don't become confident by claiming confidence. You become confident by keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. The wealthy do not measure progress by excitement. They measure it by consistency. They don't ask, "Do I feel inspired today?" They ask, "Did I train today?" Over time, those small wins compound into an internal certainty that does not flinch under pressure. Daily skill practice also recalibrates self-respect. Every time you show up for your craft, your standards rise. You stop tolerating sloppiness. You stop excusing shortcuts. You stop romanticizing potential and start demanding performance. That shift alone quietly separates professionals from dabblers. Confidence is also built through failure, but only the failure that happens inside practice. Safe failure, failure with feedback, failure with reflection. Those failures sharpen skill without destroying momentum. The wealthy fail forward in training, so they do not collapse backward in public. Most people want perfect conditions to practice. The wealthy practice to create perfect conditions. They do not wait for time. They protect time. They do not wait for confidence. They build it one repetition at a time. Daily practice also trains emotional control. When you practice under mild pressure again and again, pressure loses its shock. You stop reacting emotionally to stress and start responding strategically. You become harder to rattle because you've already stood in discomfort repeatedly and survived it. This emotional stability is priceless in business, leadership, money, and decision making. Panic destroys precision. Calm multiplies clarity, and calm is trained, not wished for. Daily practice also removes the lie of instant transformation. It teaches patience. It teaches process. It reveals that growth is quieter than fantasy and slower than impatience would like, but far more reliable. The wealthy trust the process because the process never betrays them. Confidence built through daily practice also creates independence. You stop needing reassurance. You stop waiting for permission. You stop asking if you are good enough. You already know the answer because your effort answered it for you. This type of confidence cannot be taken from you by rejection. It cannot be shaken by criticism. It cannot be stolen by comparison because it was not given to you by people. It was built by you through work. Most people spend years trying to feel confident enough to take action. The wealthy take action until confidence has no choice but to follow. Daily practice also reveals this powerful truth. You are never as far behind as fear tells you. The moment you practice even a little, momentum begins. Skill responds fast to attention. Growth rewards movement. Stagnation only punishes delay. There is a quiet pride that comes from daily practice, not the loud kind that seeks validation, but the steady kind that knows it is becoming. That pride strengthens posture, it sharpens language, it stabilizes decisions, it improves negotiations. It raises presence, and presence changes how the world responds to you. Confidence built through daily practice also makes you dangerous, in the best way. Dangerous to excuses, dangerous to self-doubt, dangerous to average outcomes. Because once you experience the power of consistent improvement, you can never again fully believe the lie that you are stuck. You realize you are always becoming something, whether you practice or not. And once you realize that identity is plastic, not permanent, hesitation loses its grip. The wealthy do not build confidence by hoping for good days. They build it by training on hard ones. They do not wait for the mirror to change. They act until the reflection must follow. And here is the final truth that transforms everything. You will never outperform the version of yourself that you practice being. Practice weakness daily, and weakness will become confident. Practice strength daily, and strength will become inevitable. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is the natural side effect of honoring your craft every single day. The world does not reward effort. It rewards results. It does not pay for intention. It pays for solutions. This is one of the hardest truths for many people to accept because it removes excuses and replaces them with responsibility. You may mean well, you may try hard, you may care deeply, but the market does not respond to emotion. It responds to outcomes. Every problem in the world carries a price tag. The size of that price depends on the size of the pain it removes. The wealthy understand this. They do not ask, "What do I want to earn?" They ask, "What problem am I willing to solve?" And the moment that question changes, income changes with it. Most people tie their income to time. The wealthy tie their income to impact. Time limits you. Impact multiplies you. When you solve small problems, you earn small returns. When you solve large problems, the market rewards you accordingly. This is not greed. This is exchange. Value moves in both directions. Good intentions are invisible to the market. Only solved problems are visible. You cannot pay bills with potential. You cannot build a future with promises. The world does not compensate what you care about, it compensates what you complete. Many people work hard every day and still feel underpaid because their effort is scattered across low-impact tasks. They stay busy solving problems that no one is urgently paying to remove. The wealthy are ruthless with prioritization. They target problems that hurt enough for people to pay for relief. Pain creates demand. Confusion creates demand. Risk creates demand. Inefficiency creates demand. And wherever demand lives, money follows. The wealthy position themselves where demand already exists, instead of trying to convince the world to care about what no one is desperate for. You are not paid for what is easy for you. You are paid for what is difficult for others. The greater the difficulty you reduce for someone else, the greater your compensation becomes. This is why rare skills earn more than common labor. This is why clarity earns more than confusion. This is why leadership earns more than participation. The market is brutally honest. It does not care how long you trained. It only cares how well you performed when the problem arrived. It does not applaud effort. It responds to effectiveness. This honesty is not cruel. It is freeing, because it tells you exactly what to focus on if you want to rise. If your income feels stuck, you are likely solving problems that are too small, too common, or too cheap. The solution is not to work harder. The solution is to aim higher. Bigger problems demand bigger versions of you, and becoming bigger always pays better than staying busy. The wealthy train their eyes to spot inefficiency everywhere. They see friction and ask how to remove it. They see confusion and ask how to clarify it. They see delay and ask how to speed it up. They see waste and ask how to refine it, and each refinement becomes an opportunity. Most people complain about problems. The wealthy build their income on them, while others wish the problem would disappear. The wealthy are learning how to profit by solving it. One group resists reality, the other leverages it. You do not need to create a new world. You only need to reduce pain in the one that already exists. The market is overflowing with unsolved problems at every level, small, medium, and massive, and every unsolved problem is carrying money inside it, waiting for someone skilled enough to unlock it. The world does not reward how much you know. It rewards how many people your knowledge can help. Knowledge stored only in the mind earns nothing. Knowledge applied earns income. Knowledge scaled earns wealth. Many people become emotionally attached to what they want to offer instead of what the market wants to receive. That attachment keeps them broke emotionally and financially. The wealthy listen more than they speak. They study demand before they create supply. They observe where people are already spending money, and then learn how to serve that flow more effectively. This does not mean abandoning purpose. It means aligning purpose with reality. The most fulfilled people in the world are often the highest earners, not because money creates meaning, but because solving meaningful problems creates both impact and income at the same time. The wealthy do not chase trends blindly. They chase timeless pain, fear, inefficiency, uncertainty, confusion, delay, risk. These problems never disappear. They only change shape, and those who learn to solve them repeatedly will never struggle for relevance. The reason some people stay stuck financially for decades is not because opportunity is rare. It is because they keep offering what feels good to give instead of what the world is urgently asking to receive. The market does not adjust to comfort, it adjusts to necessity. You never need permission to solve a problem. You only need competence. The moment someone trusts you to reduce their risk, save their time, increase their clarity, or multiply their results, your income ceiling rises automatically. The wealthy understand that money is simply proof that a problem was successfully handled. That is all money is. A receipt of service rendered at a valuable level. And if you want more receipts, you must increase the size or frequency of the problems you solve. You do not become wealthy by convincing the world you deserve more. You become wealthy by making the world depend on your solutions. Dependence is created through trust. Trust is created through results, and results only come from execution. Execution is the line between intention and income. On one side, live dreams. On the other side, live deposits. Many people stand forever on the dream side and wonder why money never crosses over. The wealthy cross first. Then they build dreams with the evidence. You cannot deposit effort into a bank account. You cannot withdraw intention at an ATM. Only solved problems convert into spendable income. This is not discouraging. This is empowering, because it tells you exactly what to develop. If you learn to solve harder problems, your income will rise automatically. If you learn to solve problems faster, your value will rise automatically. If you learn to solve problems for more people, your reach will rise automatically. Income follows all three. The wealthy are not obsessed with money. They are obsessed with removing obstacles. Money tracks them because value tracks them. And value is simply the measure of how much easier you made life for others. This is why complaining never builds wealth. Complaints do not remove friction. They multiply it. This is why excuses are financially expensive. They consume time that could have been invested in solutions. And this is why responsibility is the most profitable attitude a person can carry. The market is not unfair. It is exact. It only mirrors back what you have learned to deliver. If you don't like the reflection, you don't argue with the mirror. You adjust the face. You do not get rich wishing for change. You get rich by becoming the change someone is willing to pay for. And the moment you fully accept this truth, something powerful happens. Your focus sharpens. Your excuses weaken. Your priorities realign. You stop asking what you deserve and start asking what you can solve. And that one shift alone